Hey, welcome to Jon-Bon Workshop. I'm John. I thought I'd do a quick video. I'm packing the bearings in my utility trailer, which will involve replacing the rear seal because it ruins the seal whenever you take the rear bearing out. So I noticed there wasn't that many videos on this, so I thought I'd do a quick video. It's pretty simple. Jack this up, which I'm going to do now. Alright, these dust caps. The easiest way I've found to take these things off here is you get yourself a flat screwdriver and a hammer, and you stick it where these two meet and drive this thing in there. It might not go the first time, it's a little bit. It will start moving, you'll see it start moving here. When you get it that far, that width away from there, then you want to take it and kind of turn the screwdriver like this as you're tapping it, and it'll force that dust cap out there. When it comes out, then you're going to have a cotter key you got to take out. We were just having this conversation. Most people say to replace this cotter key, but I don't have any more cotter keys right now, so I'm not gonna. Alright. So, one thing you want to listen for here, these are factory. This trailer's 25 years old. It's never been apart. There's a little movement there. And the reason there's a little movement is because this thing is, I don't know if the bearing wears a little bit, but if you tighten this thing down, it's fine. So I think the bearings are fine, but the grease is terrible. It does need to be repacked, so that's what we're gonna do now. Very important, gonna have to have some gloves. Flat washer goes on the outside on top of that bearing. Pro tip on this, you gotta have a roll of paper towels when you're doing this. Pull this out. This is the seal. As you can see, it's done a pretty good job for being as old as it is. It hasn't leaked that much, but they gotta come out. So they make puller tools to take this out. And I use this pry bar here. You get it behind the seal and then just give it a smack with a hammer. You're gonna have to put your foot in there and get it out of there. Pull the other bearing out of here. This grease is, like I said, terrible. The only thing left to do here is just clean this thing up. I'm gonna take some paper towels, clean all this old grease out of here. It even got a little rust in it. The goal here is just to get it pretty clean. I mean, this doesn't have to be like completely spotless, but just get the bulk of the old grease out of there. All right, that done. You clean off all these parts up here, these bearings. The rear bearing on these, I don't think they're always the same. Sometimes they're the same bearing front and back, but on these, the big bearing goes in the back, and the little bearing goes in the front. The old seal, you don't need it. I'm gonna replace that seal. I went down to O'Reilly's today and I took one of these seals with me, and they were able to match it up just by outside and inside diameter. So I think that's pretty standard. I noticed that like Menards had some trailer brake wheel bearing kits, but they weren't even close for this trailer, so I have a feeling that those were for like smaller trailers or something. But you just go to your local auto parts store, I think pretty standard. They'll be able to match your bearings and your seals up if you were to need new bearings, which these bearings look fine, they're just filled with old grease. Alright, next step here. Give me a pan of some sort to catch the mess. Some brake cleaner. They actually sell parts cleaner like this if you prefer. It's a lot more expensive. Brake cleaner does the same thing. Clean all that old grease out of there. You'll notice when the grease is out of there, you hear it rattling then. I mean, that's how you know it's pretty empty as far as the grease goes. Just want to get as much of that old dirty grease out of there as you can. This stuff is fast drying, but it will dry up pretty quick. You want to let it dry a little bit, or dry before you put the new grease back in there, because you don't want it cutting your grease. Dry these all out. I like to just put the paper towel in there and then turn them. You can see all dirty, nasty stuff coming out of them. But it does actually get, I mean, the paper towel, whenever it stays pretty clean, it's clean enough. Now we're going to pack new grease in these. This is not my favorite part. I mean, you want to just take some grease, put it in the palm of your hand here, take the bearing, push it into the grease. You'll see like right in this area right here, as you push that grease in there, it'll come out of there. I mean, it's full of grease at that point. Just kind of go all the way around a couple times. That usually fills it up pretty good. If you're using, as if it's a boat trailer, I would use marine grease. This is not a boat trailer, obviously. So this is just regular old straight up axle grease. This looks pretty good, pretty full. Next thing's next is I'm going to kind of fill that inner cavity in the hub with some grease. Got plenty of it in there just to, I mean, as it gets older and runs around, I mean, you want plenty of grease to be available. Take this, remember it's the big bearing is the one that goes in the back. Put it in there. Seal goes in next, but I didn't have any problem at all. I mean, this is a 25-year-old trailer, and all I did was just take the old seal up and didn't have any problem at all finding these. You don't really want to put these back in dry, so right here where it actually seals on this axle, I'm going to make sure that's got some grease on it. Put this in place, put it in there as even as you can. Just take a block of wood, just a plywood here, put it on there, smack it in there. And then back behind the seal, I kind of like to fill that as much as I can with some grease too, just so that there's plenty behind that bearing. All right, dam this up. Back there till it seats. We're going to take this front bearing, and your flat washer goes on next, your castle nut. This is not something you tighten down very tight. You don't want any movement like this, like that, so it's not on there all the way, but you definitely don't want to kill it either. There's no movement at all now. Now we do have to line up this hole right here with a cutout in this castle nut, which is about right there. Just spin, make sure it's nice and smooth, no noise, no grinding. Alright, cotter pin will keep that nut from backing off there. You don't want your wheel passing you later. I fill this dust cover with grease because I figure like a bearing buddy that has the grease certain stuff, they're full of grease all the time, so what can it hurt? These obviously had not been filled with grease before, but put it on there a little bit and tap it on with a rubber mallet. That's it. Repacked. So hopefully this helped you. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, I would appreciate it. It sure helps me out. Thanks for watching.